We have Mr. Bheki Twala, President of SA Spaza. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. We appreciate your time in this very difficult time for business owners, spaza shop owners that are hoping to ensure that they comply with the government's rules and regulations. A number of sticking points that they have mentioned, not only from their side, but from the administrative side of municipal offices as well. What are some of the sticking points that you've been hearing outside of what we just heard today from this business owner?
No, thank you very much. Good afternoon, Sis Audrey. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. Thank you very much for having us. Critically so, it's very important to unpack the whole concept of the registration of spaza shop. We've been calling for government for quite some time now to formalize the spaza shop industry because of the size of the market. You can't have spaza shop remaining in the informal sector, yet in terms of its market, it's now supposed to be in the formal sector. Yes, the 21 days, we appreciated it, but the message was not clear. Remember, the due date, all along we know that it was the 13th.
It moved to the 17th.
And then now the minister then moved it to the 17th. But we needed to then have government to engage with the stakeholders, you know, the stakeholder engagement, prepare the businesses on the ground to say, what is it that we're talking about when we talk about formalizing the spaza shop industry? What sort of processes are critical and very important? Take the people through the process. For example, the 21 days is for the application to receive the trade license. Now, the message needs to be clear. It's not a one-size-fits-all, whereby you're looking at now the street vendors to also go the same process with the registration of the spaza shop. There is a difference between a trade license and a permit. You know, those are the things that we need to communicate clearly with the people on the ground. Because people now are rushing. It's the last day. Now, there is no clear communication what happens from the 18th to say, look, when you started to apply for your spaza shop, even if you don't have all the documents that are needed, what's going to happen? For example, that it's a reality. You can't have all the documents for the trade license in 21 days. Remember, you need to have a CIPC, you need to have a bank account, you need to have SARS, you need to have the floor plans, you need to have, the certificate of acceptability. All those documents, it's not a document that you can get within the 21 days. But the issue of the 500 million is then to assist assist the businesses in terms of compliance. Because those documents that they're talking about, it's a compliance document, and compliance doesn't come cheap. You need to make sure that then the government, that's why the government comes in to assist the South African-based businesses that are operating in the industry to make sure that they get those documents.
So what I understand from you is there are essentially two processes that are happening for spaza shop owners that has to do with the compliance of that trading license. And then we have the food vendors, like the people that sell sweets outside of schools. They need a separate permit that is outside of the spaza shop owners. With that being said, 21 days was clearly not enough. We see what is happening in the city of Cape Town, where the authorities there say we have extended that period. They've seen the need to do that. What do you think of that move?
Yeah, that's another concern. You remember now we're one country. Then if you have another portion, or a province that is extending, and then you have 8 other provinces that are not extending. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about the messaging from the government. Because remember, we need to have one voice in terms of, because it creates a lot of confusion on the ground. We need to be clear in terms of what happens from the 18th. The government needs to then say, okay, go and apply. If you are now in 20% or 30%, we'll then assist you to make sure that you complete your application. And also how long it's going to take. Now, for example, is that people now are very worried to say, look, I'm applying, I don't have all the documents. Now it's the 17th, what happened next day? Meaning, is my shop going to be closed? Now, that message is not clearly to say, look, this is what's going to happen. If you're saying people, they need to apply on by the 17th, the end of the day today, but you don't communicate what's happening on the 18th, then it becomes a problem. But we are saying, let the government, most especially the law enforcement departments, do their job, make sure that at the end of the day, they also assist in making people understand what is this whole process about. Government needs to talk to the JMPD, the SAPS, and everybody involved, the inspectors, so that they also are able to communicate the messaging, to say, look, even if you don't have all the documents by today, but this is the next step.
Yes, because the overarching message that we've been getting from authorities is that if you haven't applied by end of day today, your business is going to be shut down. And that is the belief across the board of most shop owners. And, it creates the anxiety, I suppose, that we've been seeing. Another underlying current that we've heard, once again, from my colleague, as she was speaking to those business owners outside, the issue of foreign owners and how they have sort of brought about all this cumbersome process that is now required for businesses to register their process. Again, I suppose, speaking to that perhaps business owners do not understand why it's important for them to actually register their businesses and the advantages that come with that.
Yeah, that's the messaging that I'm talking about. Remember, this industry, it's massive. It's very important for, most especially for South African, to start understanding how big this market is. For example, when you look at the current applications, in Gauteng alone, it's about 13,000 spaza shops that are applied. But I can tell you now, 90% of those spaza shops are foreign nationals. But we are now saying the process of application, it doesn't mean that everybody that is applying will tick all the boxes. This is why we're saying if the message is not clear, it makes people not understanding the whole process. Because at the end of the day we are supposed to have workshops on this whole concept of registering or formalizing the spaza shop, so that people, with the community engagement, people, they start understanding the process and start following the process. For example, it's a pity, my sister, that we had to lose our kids to be in this situation. But we are where we are. We need to then make sure that let's take the people through the process. Let the people understand. That is why, as SA Spaza, we had to come in the space. Because remember, it's not just only government that needs to sort of like solve this challenge that we're having, but we're also asking the private sector to come on board. Together, let's make sure that the whole process of formalizing this spaza shop, everybody understand, and we take everybody into confidence in terms of how this whole process needs to look like, so that it makes it easy for people to understand. For example, people are now asking about the 500 million rand. How are they going to access it? Are they going to get it as cash? Now, the government needs to still come back. It's still going to be a situation of application for that 500 million, for you to be assisted in terms of the equipment, developing your shop, or even the stock that needs to be in your shop, all the systems. But what we are saying, as SA Spaza, we are coming into the space to also assist in making sure that at the end of the day we formalize the spaza shop
and
industry
ensure that
spaza
spaza shops are incorporated into the mainstream economy. Mr. Twala, thank you so much for your time, your insights. We certainly appreciate it. This is a developing story. Of course, more expected to happen today as the deadline looms for those spaza shop business owners to ensure that they comply.